Hi everybody, it's Zero here, and you guys were asking for it, not really, but I am finally back to doing reviews. I know it's been a long time coming, and I know I took a break from reviews, but to be honest, I just wasn't feeling it at the moment, but now I am, and I'm finally back to doing them, so I hope you guys are happy. It's actually kind of funny what made me come back to doing reviews. I was watching Anthony Fantano's review of Kodak Black's album Painting Pictures, and I was thinking to myself, I should go back to doing reviews. It was fun. So here I am, and I'm super excited for today's review because this one has been a long time coming. Today I'm talking about the newest album by Nate the Space God called The Evil. The Evil is the follow-up to last year's Falling in Winter's Detour, and honestly, this album might make a lot of modern rap fans' top 10 lists if Nate was more well-known, and if he was, it might even have a chance to make it to the charts because this album is definitely Nate's most modern and mainstream album to date, as it leans into more trappy and modern hip-hop territory. However, unlike most modern trap songs and projects we hear on the radio, The Evil has so many awesome things going for it, which makes it stand out among others. We're hearing some of Nate's most clever and sometimes comical bars yet, some bass-heavy trap rap beats that are a nice change from the more softer hip-hop beats we heard on projects like Earth 708 and The Review, and so many flow changes that it's kind of hard to keep up at times. But to make a long story short, Nate is keeping things heavily fresh on this album and is giving us many reasons to replay this stuff. Because this album had no singles, though, I'm sure many people didn't know what to expect from this project, and before I heard the first finished song off this album, Element, I didn't know what to expect either. I was kind of hoping that Nate would stick to his, more established sound, but I was also incredibly interested in hearing something different. However, though, Nate honestly does both of those things perfectly on this record. He doesn't shy too far from his roots, but he's also bringing a lot of new things to the table, and is consistently keeping things interesting while hooking the listener in. This album has so many glimmering highlights that I don't even know where to begin when talking about the positives, but I'll try my best to list some of the most significant ones without making this too cluttered. Scotch, the fifth track on this album, and by far in my top 3 favorites, is one of the craziest and most innovative songs Nate has ever released in his whole career. From what we counted, there are 12 different flow changes, which is fucking insane, first of all. And because of Nate's sheer talent alone, he was able to build smooth transitions between all of them without ever going off beat or making awkward pauses between lines or verses. I'm not even lying when I say that I have never heard so many flow changes in a rap song, let alone a trap song, since we're, mostly used to hearing pointless lyrics and woozy mumbling in most trap songs. The hook of the song is fucking wild too, and is easily one of the catchiest hooks on this album, if not the catchiest. And even though the main line of the hook stays the same, it never gets repetitive or boring, and I'm so glad that there were no features that were able to ruin it, because the song basically makes you want to do the stank face over and over, like when you're playing guitar and you're like, yeah, basically like that. Because that's what you think of when you hear Nate's song. Nate, like the term Nate's song, even without features. So, it's pretty crazy. The second track, Run It Isn't Worth It, is not only my favorite track off this album, it's also one of my favorite Nate the Space God tracks in general, and maybe one of my favorite songs ever. It may not be the craziest song on this record, Scotch definitely holds that title, but there's still so many highlights on this track that make it stand out among the others. The bass drop in the song that leads into the first verse is nothing short of chills-inducing, especially when Nate begins rapping. I feel like the main purpose of this song's intro is to blow you out of your seat, and that's exactly what it does, especially if you're listening to it on loud car speakers with a ton of bass. Don't crash though, obviously. If I'm being honest, this song should have been the intro track. No disrespect to Evil, because it is definitely a banger of an intro track, but Run It Isn't Worth It just has more of the qualities to make it qualify as an intro track. An insane bass drop, clever and well-written lines, and that awesome transition in the middle of the song that transitions into the next verse. If you were to listen to this song first and skip over Evil, you would see what I mean, but when you listen to Evil and it transitions into this song, it works just as well either way, and I can definitely commend it for that. This is an amazing song and is easily my favorite song on the album. World War featuring Albany Lou is the collaboration song of the decade, and I'm sure many of Nate's fans, including me, were waiting for the day he collabs with his father again, and oh man, was it worth the wait. World War not only stands out as the hardest and most dramatic song on the album, but both Nate and Lou bring their A-game to this song. In the most completely respectful way possible though, some of Lou's lines definitely made me laugh, which made this track all the more enjoyable to me. Thoroughbred like a horse's chest is a hilarious and insanely quotable line that I find myself saying more often than I should, if I'm being honest. But this song is fucking insane nonetheless. This track essentially gave me the same feeling as how I would feel if MGK and NF ever collabed. Excited and fulfilled. But man, between the heavy industrialized hardcore trap beat, the iconic transition between Nate's and Lou's verses, and the handful of clever puns and punchlines, this song is what we've all been waiting for since the episode 1 days, no doubt. Of course though, this doesn't just go for this album, this goes for every album. No album is without sin. And while there are very few problems I have with this album, I would still like to talk about them. Watching the TV upside down is an incredibly weird and unexpected turn on the track list, but not in a very good way. It just, I don't know. I find myself having trouble vibing with how distorted and overproduced the beat is. It just makes the listening experience more painful than enjoyable, in my opinion. I get that it's supposed to be a fun, laid-back hype song with a modern approach to it on an album that's full of tracks that are anything but modern, or mainstream, I should say, but I just don't like this track that much. The flow more or less stays the same throughout the whole song, and the lyrics feel really strange and out of place on this album since it mostly talks about some serious rap topics, but the lyrics on here fall more into mainstream territory. I think the song has some wasted potential, but that's not to say I outright hate it. I skip it when it comes on. I'm not a huge fan of this song. Other than that small gripe though, this album has so much more going for it than most trap-leaning projects. It has some insane and energetic flows, funny and dope lyrics that actually make sense and work well together, and some amazing features such as Albany Lou on World War and Eminem on Cold Brew. Nate the Space God's The Evil is definitely on my number 2 spot now on my top 3 Nate the Space God albums, and I really fuck with it, and I can see why it's a lot of people's favorite now. I'm giving Nate's 8th studio album, The Evil, a very strong 9 out of 10. I'm just kidding. Let me know what you guys thought of this album, and I hope you guys are as excited that I'm back to doing reviews as I am. I really did miss doing reviews. I love talking about music, I love talking about albums, and I promise my reviews are only going to get better from here. But until the next one, my name is Zero, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.